That's James's dinner. He's having some pink grapefruit and some of that stuff. He's going to talk about Rather, and we're going to talk about Mission Impossible and the other thing too. So I'm giving him the 3 types of Roma looking tomatoes here today, and I am going to take some of the seeds away from this one.
Color coded too. She really.
Even though I normally save the juice too, I'm just going to save the seeds today from this one because I don't have very many seeds from this one. What happened? It produced a lot of tomatoes, the plant, but I didn't realize that they were going to ripen. That they ripened this color. I had it somewhere and I had it labeled Chiapas Wild, and as far as I knew, the Chiapas Wild was supposed to be small and red tomato, and it ended up being this, and I thought, oh well, I must have made a mistake and it must be an orange Roma that's not ripe yet. So I lost probably a dozen of those. They rotted because I didn't realize that they were ripe at that color. And so then I realized it. I took them in and I tried to ripen them further to, get a darker color, and nope, that's it. So I only have the one plant that has that yellow wax color, and I don't know if it's Chiapas Wild or not, but it's the only one I have that way. So I sliced the cheese bun in half for James to put tomatoes on if he so desired, and he can eat the curried cauliflower bowl with tomatoes too. So I just want you to try the different types of tomatoes and let me know which of these Roma types you like the flavor of the most. Because I know you like to have variety, but when it comes to, just a difference in color, maybe.
This one's texture is a little rough.
Okay.
This one's nice. Okay. Texture a bit in between. Texture. I think I like the red one the best.
Okay, well there you go. So you can go ahead and spend extra money on orange Romas or yellow wax colored Romas, and maybe the red ones are better anyway. So Rather got top of the stack, this documentary about Dan Rather, and I did fall asleep eventually, but
she slept soundly through quite a bit of it.
But I thought it was good, what I watched of it. It just I was just tired. So.
Well, I get the impression it was very long.
It was quite long, wasn't it? I mean, I learned a lot of things about Dan Rather that I had no idea about. But let's see, 95 minutes. So that's a movie length.
Yeah, it's really not that long.
Anyway,
it's kind of like a history of the latter part of the 20th century.
It really is in America, yeah.
Beginning of the
21st.
What
he was telling the news. So James will get back to that because right now he's eating dinner, and I can talk about Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, I think, just fine. My angels told me to only use positive words, and I'm going to have a really hard time with that here. So I'm not even going to try. After it wasn't even 10 minutes in, I thought, wow, most of the people have left the theater, and
because they're sick of the flashbacks.
It's just terrible. So
it is really bad.
Yeah, I mean, flashbacks are something that people should stay away from anyway.
When they make a movie
or a book, or writing a book, it's tough to do, and they really did it poorly here. Wow, stunningly bad. I never thought that there could be a bad Mission Impossible movie, because
we're
I
like
love
true
Tom
believers.
Cruise.
you know?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not like
We love these things, not this one. And so I was saying, man, I feel sorry for the people who actually paid to watch this in the theater and stuff like that. And anyway, we stuck it through. I don't know how.
you stayed awake during that
I
one.
did.
So did I.
But it was tough. I mean, you have this scene where Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg, whatever their characters' names are, I don't know. I don't care. They're rescuing this French woman from prison, and it could have been deleted entirely. In fact, her whole character should have been deleted entirely, because there's no reason for her to be in this movie. I couldn't see how any of her expertise were used anywhere along the way. So why did they break her out of prison? They didn't need her. I can't see how they did. So we're watching this trying to figure out, okay, well, what's her point in the movie? You know?
It's kind of a little bit like Hawkman in the old Justice League of America things. Like, what does he do? He just sits around looking pretty, maybe preening himself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. So there's a lot of things like that. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. We don't understand why the submarine part was even in the movie. They go up to, where is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be around?
Off of Alaska.
Off of Alaska. So
In between Alaska and
Yeah.
Russia. I think it was called St. Matthew's Island or something like
care.
that. I don't know if it actually
I had a hard time caring about anything in this movie. So it's going to be tough for me to do a review.
I care about the wasted time, really.
Yeah, because it was long.
Ooh.
169 minutes. It was work.
That's 2 hours
Yeah.
and 40 minutes.
I mean, the only thing positive I can really say about this is I was too lazy to get up and turn off the credits, so we reeled through the whole lot of them.
They could have cut
And
out Oh, sorry.
They basically employed a city making this movie, so that's the
The
only thing
credits just
positive
kept on
I can
going.
say about this,
Oh.
because it looked like it was made in Canada for the most part, right? So
Well, some of it, yep.
or,
quite a bit of it.
quite a bit of it.
There was
So-
the real interesting scenes were from South Africa.
Yeah, okay.
Congo something or other.
But, okay, so they're up around Canada. Somehow it's really cold there, but you can't see their breath at all
When they're outside.
when they're outside. You can't see their breath at all. But when they go down to Africa, for some reason, you can see their breath. What? What's going on there? Doesn't make sense. But the sub part, we don't know why he was in the sub. What was the point of this, going in there and risking his life and all this sort of thing?
It was just him by himself, so he couldn't be explaining
what was going on
doing.
either. Yeah, so it was just a lot of wasted time as far as we could see. So honestly, if you're thinking, well, I love Mission Impossible movies, and this can't be that bad, I want to sit through it, you'll probably sit through a few minutes and go, wow, it is that bad. And then just fast forward the first 40 minutes, honestly. And then you might even feel like fast forwarding some more. But that'll get you through.
Hour, because that'll get you down. If you take an hour off 2 hours and 40 minutes, you got an hour and 40 minutes.
Okay, so that's a reasonable length for a movie. So maybe then you'll be able to sit through it. So.
Or lie through it, or whatever.
Or whatever. And then at the end, there's this part where there's a airplane chase, but they're flying around in like World War I era planes. We don't understand why. They're very pretty, red and yellow, chasing each
It might
other.
have been semi-presented, but by that point in time, maybe we weren't receptive to it.
No, I didn't notice.
It was very
It
pretty.
didn't make any sense to me.
World War I vintage planes.
I mean, there was one point where they were talking about how many people could die in the world, and James was like, wow, this must be an old script because the population of the world is a lot more than that, or whatever.
They were saying 7 billion, and I'm pretty sure I was hearing a while back, not that far back, it's over 8 billion. So I think they stuck with the original script. You know, sometimes it takes a while for everything to get worked up. But now, it's not that long ago. The world's population, about 10 years ago, would have been about 7 billion. Yes, we're putting on about 1 billion a year, or every decade, 100,000 a year.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something a year?
100 million a year.
It'll come to that eventually.
If, 1 billion a year.
Yeah, who knows? If people don't start dropping off fast sooner. But in any case, they're going to start dropping off fast. So, whatever.
You know, Canada sends apparently millions of dollars a year. They've been sending something like 10 million bucks a year in relief aid to the People's Republic of China.
How's that?
It's current. It's on the books.
Oh my gosh. No wonder that's making news.
Well, understand, it was on the one of the conservative radio stations, AM stations.
Yeah, well, it would
but
be, I suppose.
Mark Carney, you cannot. I mean, the way the one conservative critic was saying was, they have aircraft carriers. I don't know if we even have one. And they've actually got a...
I think we have one airplane, because I think Trudeau
aircraft carrier or
plane? No, I think plane. I think Trudeau bought a plane.
Well, a type of plane. But
military,
no, I don't think we've got aircraft carriers.
Which is a bad investment anyway. But
what they said is they have a space program. Guess what? We don't.
Yeah.
But we've been sending aid to India, and they've got a space
program. Yeah. Yep, it's ridiculous. So, anyway. Anyway, I don't really have any more to say about this movie. It was bad. It was not worth... Like, if you went to the theater and you sat through the first 10 minutes and you decided, okay, that's it, and you popped into another movie, you know, that was playing, and you wonder, oh, gee, should I have sat through Mission Impossible? No, you shouldn't have. You made the right decision leaving. It's that bad. This is terrible. Yet, it didn't get bottom of the stack. The Fusion Generation, this is terrible. This is maybe made in India, probably made in India, I'm not sure, but
it's supposed to be multicultural, it says, or multicultural romantic comedy.
Nobody would. This is a movie that somebody might turn on thinking, oh well, I like seeing Indian dancing or whatever, and they turn this on and think, oh, I'm going to see Indian dancing in the movie, and that'll be great or whatever. And this will turn them off watching every Indian movie afterwards. This is that bad. It's so bad. Unwatchable. So,
where was it made?
It might have been made right here. Who knows?
It says Canada, English.
Oh dear. It was made right here. So the Canadian public probably funded the making of that show in part.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You know, I was hearing something on the news yesterday or the day before. What's the big celebration in India? Is it Holi or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
They like putting fireworks off.
Oh, in India. This is so horrible.
And
we've already reviewed this drink, so you're used to my face from this. This is really bad.
So, newsflash to all the multiculturalists out there. Democracy, as I've said before, and I'll say many, many times again, until my freedom of speech is totally curtailed. Democracy is about the rule of law. When you live in a democracy, you better obey the law, even though you disagree with it. better obey the law. Now, do you know how many fires the police department had to answer in the last week? I think it's Holi or something like. It's not Bali like Bollywood. It's a Hindu festival. How many?
I don't know.
I heard 130. We'll say 120 set off by fireworks in 1 week.
Okay.
That's 20 a day.
Okay.
One person's balcony got set on fire.
Yeah, once
There was
somebody
grass fire
was.
set. You don't.
People set off fireworks, and I don't. Is it legal to set off your own fireworks? I don't think
No,
it is.
It's not.
I think you can in the United States, but not here.
That's different. If they want to try to get in the United States, they can.
So
but we are not wanted here if you don't believe in obeying the rule
one day,
of law.
somebody was driving down the alley, and they set off fireworks through their sunroof of their car, right beside my house.
And it was blowing onto the roofs of the house to the south of you. But if the wind had been the other direction, it could have been on your roof. Yeah?
Like what?
And they
didn't
people
live
of
here.
color.
They were in the alley. What were they doing?
They figured this is a good, safe place. The cops won't see us.
Yeah.
This is a narrow alley. They were people of color having a gay old time. When you come to a democracy, you obey the laws. You don't go around setting fires. God.
Anyway.
I believe it was over 100 fires in the space of a week.
Yeah.
Where I gathered the fire department had to come up. Grass fire set. You don't blow off fireworks any time of year. But around now, this is the driest point of the year, pretty close, except maybe late in the springtime or something like that, or early in the springtime.
So anyway, James is going to talk about Rather, because he watched the whole thing and I did not. So
yeah, we even stopped it when I had to let the dogs out for a pee break or whatever.
Oh, did we? I don't remember.
Well, you might have kind of sleeping at that point. So Dan Rather, I can remember him from 60 Minutes. He used to be kind of like a roving journalist, and then eventually became one of the guys who read the news, the newsreader for CBS, along with Tom Brokaw for one of the other two channels, and Peter Jennings, who I gather is Canadian by origin, on the other the main channels competitive with CBS. Well, for some reason or another, Dan Rather hailed from Houston, apparently, Texas, for sure. Became a prime whipping fella for Roger Ailes, CNN. George Bush Sr. On and on it goes. And he had, at least according to these rather unreliable sources, I'm talking about Roger Ailes. Did I say CNN? I meant Fox Network. Fox Network, George Bush Sr. as being a liberal, but a lot of these flunkies are going around saying CNN is liberal. CNN was devised by a capitalist. CBS, ABC, NBC were devised by capitalists, run more capitalists. Now, there are a lot worse capitalists than those folks. But when I watch Dan Rather on TV, the occasional 60 Minutes episode, kind of got the impression he was maybe middle of the road. But that's one of the big problems with the two main narratives that are going down politically nowadays. You're middle of the road, you're on the other side. It's like, I think there are two different places in the New Testament. It's definitely one where Jesus is quoted as saying, "He who is not with us is against us." The weird thing is, in one other place, at least one other place, I don't think it's more than one, he actually says, "He who is not with us is not against us," something like that. Kind of contradictory, but get used to it, folks, if you're actually going to try and come up with a way of reconciling all the passages, even be found in the New Testament, much less the Old Testament, and even more so the New Testament with the Old Testament. Yeah, it's just I don't know why people bother with that sort of stuff. Yeah, there are people who are middle of the road. I'm a lot more emphatic about it than Dan Rather would have been, and my attitude towards Trumpism and Bernie Sanderism, Pierre Poilievreism and NDPism as it's finally worked itself out to be a plague on both of your houses. You guys are worse than useless. Used to suggest you're zero on the scale of worth. You guys are negatives, serious negatives. Everyone who's hanging out in the right wing and on the left wing, just negatives, very dangerous negatives. Anyway, Dan Rather, he was not nearly as profound as he's presented as being here. I think he's fairly middle of the road and fairly mediocre. So he hailed from Texas, and I think, as I said, from Houston. And he covered things like a big hurricane that hit Galveston way back then. It was in the 50s, in the early 60s. I think it was the 50s. And he was head of their Dallas desk, I think in time for the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So he's there covering things. And you've got to be covering things. I wasn't there. I was in Africa, actually, when the assassination happened. I was in Livingston when I found out about it. That was 80 miles away from where we lived. And but we were in Livingston, and when we found out about it, my wife saw a person with a newspaper, and all she said was, she's so young.
Your mom said.
Jackie Kennedy. Yeah, I guess I didn't say that, but that my mom said. And then I was going, what's that about? And I can remember looking at the pathway that they had traced out for Lee Harvey Oswald. And I'm going, I can't grasp it. And one of the principles that I've got is if I have a hard time memorizing something, there's something wrong with it, like the periodic table.
The organization of it.
Yeah. It's disorganized. It's a dog's breakfast, and it turns out that it's bad. You know? How much time? 2?
4.
4 minutes. anyway, Rather was there, and someone should have. I found out about this with a book that I got fairly recently, maybe within the last 10 years. But it was a book that was, by that point in time, was maybe 25 years old. It was put out, or 20 years old. It was put out in 1993, I believe, by Newsweek magazine. And it had all sorts of pictures. First time I'd ever seen this picture. It's key. Absolutely key. It shows JFK's limousine, his Thunderbird, the one that he was shot to death in, outside the hospital where he was taken to Parkland Hospital in Dallas. And Secret Service agents are servicing it. What are they doing? They're hosing it out. Now, folks, in a real world where they had real security and real policing and all that sort of stuff, that limousine would still be pristine and all the evidence would be pristine after the assassination. In other words, all the bloodstains would be maintained. Why were they hosing it down? Many of these guys, maybe almost all of them, had a law enforcement background. These are Secret Service agents. They have to know that you don't destroy evidence. They would have to know, and they'd know that it would be a felony, I presume, and not just a crime. And frankly, if I were in this situation, there's only one person that would get me to do that, and that would be my employer, which would be the President of the United States. It would have to be a direct order. I don't know if I'd require, I think I would require that it be put in writing, that you destroy the evidence. Hose out the limousine after the assassination. What was Dan Rather doing? And all the other news folk, they're just walking around, mics and whatever, cameras. You actually got to figure stuff out, folks. If you're doing stuff like that. Destruction of evidence. What? They're part of a cover-up. A cover-up. They were part of a plot to cover up that assassination. There were 3 different plots, conspiracies. Conspiracy by right-wingers, mafia mainly, to assassinate Kennedy and make it look like it was a combination of communists and particularly Cuban communists, and Cuban communists and Russian communists. The Russian communists would be like, Russian influenced communists, Lee Harvey Oswald. Then there was a conspiracy to hide them. The conspiracy to kill, then the conspiracy to make it look as though it was done by commies, Cuban and Russian influence, and then there was a conspiracy to hide the whole thing by people who weren't responsible for the actual killing, and that would be the Kennedy administration as taken over by Lyndon Baines Johnson. And that included, folks, Robert F. Kennedy. He was involved in the cover-up. They didn't want to be forced by public opinion to go and